We are live. It is Tuesday, June the 1st, 2021, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We are NasCanucks, presented by Vibraprint, your custom printing solutions. Visit vibraprintonline.com for more. I'm Ben. This is Doug. We are talking this week about the greatest day in racing. What? Did it happen decades ago? No, it happens every year, the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. Even though F1 decided not to play along this year, fine, whatever. We still got to have 1,100 miles of crown jewel racing. But more on that later, because there was a whole weekend of action. We got to see, geez, Doug, how many series were at Charlotte this weekend? Four series? Four that were televised at least, right?
Four.
Because
I can't remember if the Outlaws were running or not.
I don't think they were.
Across the street.
I don't think they were, based off the Outlaws.
Because
I saw two winners from the past week that I'm going to mention. For once, Doug, I'm mentioning World of Outlaws winners.
Yeah, I kind of figured you would. Because the trucks ran Friday night. Right, so
yeah, and that would have been normally the dirt night.
Yes.
So getting right into it, yeah, we got to have practice and qualifying. Hell, the Cup guys got 2 practice sessions. Imagine that.
Did they get 2? No,
I think they had 2.
I thought they only had 1.
I thought they had one Friday, and one Saturday.
No.
Oh, well, seemed like it.
Maybe
I just recorded it 3 times because I know I watched one of them twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, good turnout of vehicles, and ironically enough, more vehicles got to run than we thought because qualifying for the trucks was rained out, so they said, screw it, let's start 40, because qualifying was rained out, rather than going back to practice speeds and doing the top 36 practice speeds. So, nope.
Well, I thought they were allowing 40 because they had 43 entered.
Only 40 get to start if there's no qualifying, 36 if there is qualifying.
Okay.
But, generally on qualifying weekends, if qualifying's rained out, they revert to practice speed.
Yeah.
Which is why you need to get out and practice.
Or
possible. So,
in their case, practice crashing.
Yeah. So, the trucks start out Friday night. It was, I'm trying to think, who did we have up in the booth there?
Mikey, wasn't it?
Yeah, did they have a third person No, they didn't do a third person guest
because everyone else was going to be practicing as well. Because the Cup Series practice Friday night, qualified Saturday.
Right. Okay. That'd do it. So trucks, a variety of competitive trucks running. It was a good truck rate. There wasn't a dominant truck.
No.
John Hunter, him too. He led a lot of the race, but he didn't seem dominant, I would say.
No. We talked about here. I didn't get a chance to see the end of it,
And should also mention it was part of the, what the hell they call it? Triple Truck Series?
Yes.
Which is, there's 3 races this year that only truck competitors are allowed to run in.
Yeah.
Or they might as well just call it the No Kyles races.
Yeah.
If your name's Kyle, need not apply. But I'm not running other series. Doesn't matter. Your name's Kyle. Can't show up. But Stuart Friesen was doing well throughout the race, in and around top 10 and this and that. Well, yeah, we had another one of those incidents. Basically, the highlight of the race. We had another stopped truck. Basically stopped.
Yeah,
and which we did see a couple of times, guys that caught flats right near pit road entrance and just ducking down. I always forget how narrow, pit road entrance, Doug. It seems like it ends right at the track, at the apron. There's only 50 feet there, well, maybe more than 50, but it doesn't look like much, especially when you're looking down at turn 3. But we had a truck run into some issues, and unfortunately, Johnny Sauter he saw a truck he's tailgating the truck dipped low, and he said, you know what, I'm going to pass him on the outside.
That was the ARCA racer. Drew Dollar.
Right.
Was able to see it. I don't know how he was able to see it last second, but now that was coming. Now was that coming out of 4?
That was coming out of 4, past the entrance to pit road. Which I don't understand how all of a sudden they said, like, they were saying the spotter said he couldn't see the truck stop because it was too close, to the wall. And NASCAR claimed they didn't throw the caution because they couldn't see the truck. Well, maybe NASCAR needs to have spotters on the inside to look out at the track as well, because why is there blind spots after 60 years of racing there too?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Haven't we sat up in those seats?
We have. And we don't have as good a view as the spotters.
I was able to see all the track.
Yep. We were able to see the roofs of the cars when they would run the high line.
I have pictures of that.
You couldn't see them well, but you could see them.
Yes. So they are on top looking down.
Yeah. Hey, let's turn on the comments since we got 6 of them in there. Hey, we got Terry's 3Gs, Eddie Van Haskell in the house. Nice.
Yeah. So that. And then Matt Crafton's, because like I said, I've just seen the replays of that, then seen the replays of Crafton's meltdown. Was Crafton's meltdown because of a pit road thing or because of that?
I don't remember Crafton's meltdown, to be honest with you. Hey, Tom.
Oh, yeah, he was. The F sharps were just off the chandeliers.
Oh, nice.
About how they need to get their shit together. They need to get that they're gonna hurt someone or something like that there. So I'm guessing it was probably because of that, because Crafton is a teammate to Sauter.
Right.
No matter how much of a dink Sauter is, I'm gonna side with Sauter.
Well, yeah. Anytime safety's involved, and like I don't know, like you've got how many pit stop inspector guy, we'll call them. Like there's one for every other pit. The NASCAR officials, shouldn't they be out watching the race, looking out at the track? There's
those officials aren't, because remember they're going by the cameras now.
Oh yeah, they don't even do that anymore, right? Cost cutting measures, which. Whatever. It's just more people losing their jobs. Yeah. So, I'm going to say that was NASCAR's fault. I'm going to blame NASCAR on that one, because there should have been a caution. And there was a lot of we saw it last week, but partially that was due to weather, but a lot of different trucks at different rates of speed.
Yes.
I'm going to say right now, fuck you, Jeff Gordon, for talking about it throughout the 6 hours. Why is the 66 so slow? Hey, guess what?
I got some stuff on that.
Well, first of all, Jeff,
I've got a stat for you.
Okay, based on Jeff, who was claiming how he was Mr. Sports Car Racer last week, right? Oh, when I ran a Daytona prototype, guess what? They run multiple different series at the same time with half the horsepower. And guess what? You're driving up on slower traffic at night.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, Jeffy. Keep waving your little fucking cheerleader flag for Hendrick Motorsports. I'm going to be down there tonight with the pictures. Shut up, Jeff. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Fuck. I gave him credit last week and fucking threw it all out the window this week.
Yep.
Yeah. So, was it John Hunter that won the race?
John Hunter did win the race, yes.
He did win the race. I thought so. You know what? He deserved the win. Like say, he didn't dominate, but he did have a very competitive truck. Mm-hmm. Other than that, the highlight was Johnny Sauter ripping half his truck apart. All of a sudden, he had a pure cutaway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jeez, like there was no metal on the right side of that truck.
Why am I able to see the truck on my outside?
I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a body peeled bumper to bumper.
No,
not on purpose.
No, not like that. And he hit him. Like that was a hard.
Oh yeah, it just ripped the left rear wheel right off Buddy's truck.
Oh yeah,
that went flying.
Well, and
they didn't talk about that. Which
when you hit someone like that, you usually spin them.
Yeah, or go right underneath them. But he just sheared.
Boom! It's like a freaking meat slicer.
What do they say? Like in the Golden Girls, Charlotte, 2011. Picture it. That's what Newman and Martin should have done. Instead, they welded themselves to each other.
Yeah. Wasn't sure where you're going there, but yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. The year was 2011. Picture this, 2011. Yeah. So yeah, the trucks did their thing, and that was they always put on a good show. It's nice to hear Charlotte's getting rougher as a track. Everyone's complaining that 3 and 4 is turning into a motocross track at this point with the amount of bumps.
Great. You know what?
No humpy bump though. The humpy bump still hasn't returned.
I was looking at that while watching it, and when we're there, that going down the backstretch, that down and up.
Yeah, the humpy bump.
What is that?
It hasn't been there since the last repave. It's never returned. Where you bottom out right at the tunnel.
You could see the guys kind of, but not just just the whole backstretch. It's like they come off of 2.
Well, not to mention, I thought it was interesting how they're all complaining how it's rougher than ever. Did you see any showers of sparks out from under the car at any? You didn't see any of that this weekend.
Bowman qualifying.
Well, yeah. Then they had the old sawzall afterwards, cutting down the trim. Oh. But yeah, it was like you had some scrubbing, but you didn't have that, the sheets of sparks coming out.
Yeah,
that we normally see.
Not like the past years, no.
Yeah, so I'm gonna call bullshit. The drivers are getting wussier, so deal with it. And there still is no humpy bump, no, because those cars. Remember, you used to have to run that much travel because you would see the cars compress. Like some cars the body would stay steam. You see the whole suspension do one of those inside, or you'd see the boom and bottom out in qualifying, especially. But that's right at the tunnel, the humpy bump, and that hasn't returned. They actually fixed it correctly during the last repave. Don't know how they did it, but they did.
Later, we will show you exactly where that humpy bump was.
We will. More on that later. So that gets us into Saturday. Saturday, we had 2 series running. We had the Xfinity running first, and then Saturday night, we had the ARCA cars running, which
the last time I was there, 2019, they had the ARCA cars on the Thursday night after qualifying.
I like that idea. Sadly, 23 cars in the ARCA field, but more on that later because Xfinity was first. So Xfinity happened. Is that where we got the shot of the weekend with the drone almost getting taken out?
Yeah, the Mills wreck.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, if that inside wall wasn't there where he hit, we could have possibly been taken as well too, because that's where, if it was the All-Star race, I guess, yes.
Yeah.
That's where
That's very long where we hung out. Yeah. So that was interesting. That was one of the but this was the one race of the year where the Lunatics run the Asylum. We had the drivers. Well, we had a bunch of drivers in Chad Knaus.
Yes.
Perfect. But did you notice, putting on the foil hat, all the drivers in the booth, Douglas,
were Ford.
And all the drivers in the virtual Hollywood hotel were Ford drivers.
Is GTD Doherty Ford or are they Chevy? Is JTD Doherty?
Yeah, they're Fords. I'm 99% sure they're Fords.
Okay.
And notice Brad, he did not give 2 shit. Like, he's all leaning back, looking like a 70s NFL game day, but with that checker jacket thing he's got and the hair and
almost looking like an owner.
Almost. Yeah. And you know what? God love them. I'm sure anyone that's never been to Charlotte could went, oh, look at that. They're up on a platform outside. Well, 1, Brad's thinning hair wasn't waving in the wind. 2, you could clearly hear the echo that they were on a sound stage. Because I know room echo when I hear room echo. And not to mention, we know that shot. There's nothing there to sit on.
No. They're sitting behind pit stalls number 3, 4, 5, and 6 in a trailer.
Yep.
Is where they're sitting.
Yeah. Not even the site of the former Hollywood Hotel.
No.
So, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Ryan Blaney happy. He didn't have to hang out on pit road and sweat his ass off. They promoted him up into the booth.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Kevin Harvick there, he got thrown into doing largely the play-by-play, and you could tell he was
not into it.
He was just barely keeping. You could tell they're talking. I was like, "Damn it, I got to throw it to commercial and this and that." And Joey wasn't bad. He was a little less Joey-like, probably because Kevin would have just smacked him.
Probably.
Oh, you're doing no, none of that. Perfect.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a bad broadcast. Other, like you say, Brad clearly didn't want to be there. Like, you were just waiting for him to say, "Do you know how much Ford is paying me to do this broadcast?"
Well, even almost to there was a couple shots where like they're all on their cell phones when they cut to them.
Well, because they didn't even cut to them for the first hour plus of the broadcast. They're like, "Oh, we're part of this, okay," And then the pit reporters they use sparingly, very sparingly. But we have a variety.
I thought Jones and Bell did really good on pit road as well too, though.
Yeah. Poor Christopher Bell, though. He's trying to cover the one team that's using Petty's crew. And they told him, "We want Eric Jones." Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. Ty Gibbs in a Chevy this weekend. Ty Dillon.
Yeah.
But Ty Gibbs, more on him in a minute. So no dominant car really in that race. Again, we had a variety.
The 19. One stages 1 and 2.
You mean the 18?
That's it.
Him too?
Yeah, him too. Teammate.
Yeah, until he had some issues there. Hemrick, right?
Yeah.
And like you say, young Gibbs there, he was running up in the unsponsored, even though he threw. At first, he named off all of the sponsors that weren't appearing on the car. More on that in a minute. Yeah. But then he did the right thing there right after. So Hemrick, was doing well. He had some issues.
Briscoe was up there.
Allmendinger, man, he had a loose wheel and managed to get a lug nut into the brake caliper to screw up that wheel.
No, he did not have a loose wheel. He had 2 loose wheels. The left front and the right rear.
No, it was the left rear and the right front.
Same thing.
No, because those two are way worse.
They're still the opposite sides of the car.
Yeah, and no brakes due to a lug nut right in there.
Yeah.
And you know what the worst part was? You could tell he's one of those guys. He comes from the open wheel world. Like, as soon as I unstrap, I'm not getting back in the car.
Yeah.
When really he should have got back in the car, because half the field wrecked as soon as he decided to quit racing for the day. Mm-hmm. Because you could have just slept through the first couple hours, and then we got down to who was that? Was it Chastain? No, Ryan Sieg. With the longest spin in the world, and then it hooked right at, because he decided to restart on old tires. You don't do that at Charlotte.
No.
And he almost saved it.
Well, he came in just for gas and come with front.
And poor Josh Berry, nowhere to go, just T-boned him.
Yeah.
That was a hard lick. And then we had a few more wrecks. And then young Ty Gibbs.
Which is always the way for the Xfinity race at Charlotte, though.
Or trucks.
It's like almost like near the end, they just...
Well, like say, you tighten those straps and it cuts off the blood supply to the brain.
Yeah.
Ty Gibbs comes away with the win. Speaking of which, I didn't realize, and Ty Gibbs definitely realized, they put AstroTurf down in the infield. They got rid of the grass in the quad oval. Yeah,
you haven't been there for that, have you?
No.
That shit's hot during the day.
No shit. But it doesn't rip your front. It doesn't rip off the front spoiler off your car by digging in.
Rips off the soles of your freaking feet, though.
No doubt. But yeah, instead, because Ty Gibbs did have a spin during the race, which normally would have ruined your day, ripped the front end off the car, or possibly even flipped at times. Sometimes you can get a flip out when she digs in the sod just right.
Yeah. Who was that? Was that Edwards did it a long time ago, and so did Hamlin, didn't he?
Yep. I think Keselowski. A few people would hit that for what would be 3 and 4, turns 3 and 4 of the Legends 8th mile track. You'd hit that, which caused a ramp, and then when you'd dig in, and it was like pole vaulting, just And so he came back to win. He comes out and he's like, I want to thank Monster Energy Drink. Nope, not on the car this week. I want to thank these other guys. Nope, they're not on the car either. Thank the third person. Nope, they're not there. Thanked his grandfather. That was smart. And then he's like, well, you know what? I actually have a pretty blank car here, and I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I'm a pretty good little race car driver with some potential, so you might want to sponsor me.
Yeah, hit me up.
And so, he did his victory lane celebration type deal, and Papa Gibbs was all happy, which was nice. And then they let Ty there grab some milk and a couple of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I'm not kidding about that. I'm not saying that because he's a kid. He literally had a couple peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and then strapped into the Arctic car.
Some watermelon and some Monster Energy drink, and he was ready to go.
Yeah. So 23 cars, sadly, in the ARCA race, which is, again, with all these cars, is ARCA going to have a serious car count next year with all these obsolete cars coming out of Cup after this year? One can hope. But Jesus, we were joking about it off air. They dropped the green flag, and by the end of the first lap, the field was strung out over half a lap.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can see they dropped the green, and like, do those cars in the back have third and fourth gears? Because it doesn't appear so. Mm-hmm. And yet, Doug, for a developmental series with unproven drivers and a varying disparity in speeds and talent
and age. Because there was a good 40-year age gap in some of the battles out on the track or more. They're not running over each other, Doug. They're able to pass each other. Amazing, isn't it? There was one instance with Drew Dollar, Corey Haim, and or Heim, one of them, one of the Corys.
Yeah, and one of the Corys. It's not Corey Helms.
No, and Thad Moffat.
Right.
Where I forget which one of them.
But it wasn't like anything like the Cup race or the truck race. Like that's what I get. I just thought of that. I'm like, these are the so-called developmental drivers, and they're all able to race on the track with each other without issue. I think it's because you're used to dodging pylons in the ARCA series.
Yeah.
Good. We got to see Chase Briscoe out there because he was substituting for the normal driver in the one car, wasn't he?
No, I don't think so.
Or was just he was hired for that one race?
Well, I don't think he was in there, was he?
That was Chase Briscoe that was running against Gibbs and got spun with the air. Or was that in the Xfinity race?
What was the Xfinity race?
Oh, all right. Well, it's flat black kid behind the wheel.
Yeah.
Which was it. Yeah. Let's talk about that. The first thing he does is apologize for not making contact. Like that was classy.
Yeah.
You won't get that out of a Penske driver. That showed a lot of respect. And then they're even like, Ty, you didn't touch him. He goes, yeah, but I put air on him. I shouldn't have been running that hard.
And Chase Chase is like, we had the wrong setup.
Yeah, exactly. So so he went out and just dominated the ARCA race. I don't know if he led every lap, but I think he led every lap or close to it. So yeah, he got to win twice in one day.
I was just with the ARCA race. I was really impressed with Sanchez in that race, the young kid in the 2.
You mean that ran second all day, basically?
Yeah, and almost was the only one to almost be able to pass Gibbs.
Yeah, that was really nice to see. There's some future there.
Yeah.
So I don't know who he signed up with, but I'm sure he signed up with somebody already.
Well, he's with the diversity. He's one of the diversity drivers.
Yeah, I know that, but usually it's the team that applies for the diversity thing as the grant type thing. So if he's under contract, I didn't see what manufacturer he's running for, but that'll tell you right there if he's in what pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
So young Ty Gibbs, I'm sure he slept well after winning 2 races in one day.
Well, he said he was
And
going home for a nap after the ARCA race. So
that's true. Yep. Oh, he said, this is my home track. He goes, I grew up half an hour from here. And we're like, yeah. We know.
Yeah.
We know the area. Yeah, so that was good to see. So that brings us into the greatest day in racing, the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. No Monaco GP. They ran it a week early because they didn't want to compete in the ratings. They know it. Formula One, whatever. So we get into the old Indianapolis 500. I don't know how many. I'm wearing my Indy hat. That's right. 33 starters. We actually bumped 2 cars this year. They had some guy singing "Oh, back home again" in India. And I'm like, fast forward that. All right, pageantry and balloons and sure. And man, what a race! That was a good race. Because I forgot Indy. It seems like there's pit stops every 10 minutes.
Yes.
And if you can run 42 laps and I can run 44 laps, eventually I'm going to have to run more stops and lean out and this and that. And so it's constantly lead changes and strategies. And man, the first half of the race, it was, I think the combined age of the top 3 drivers was like 60 years old. Something like it was all like 21-year-old. It was Colton Herta, Pedot. I think, dang it. But then you had the veterans kind of lurking back.
How about that Daly?
Yeah, Connor Daly was right up front. Yeah, another young gun.
And leading laps.
And you hear the crowd react to that.
Crowd went nuts.
Well, he's a local boy. See, and that's the difference. You run at Charlotte. Local boys are all within an hour, we'll say.
Yeah.
Indy, the local boys are from Indy because their dads all moved to Indy, because the shops are all on the campus of the Speedway for the most part.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Connor Daly was doing well. Colton Herta, again, doing well. I felt so bad for Graham Rahal.
Well, I know. Well, yeah, did he not pit from the lead?
Well, that was the thing. They were working the strategy, and he had got up into the lead. And based off the strategy they were doing, he was going to at least be in the hunt. It looked like. And he went out on cold tires and just slid right across the track.
Well, didn't he lose a wheel as well too? So what was up there?
Well, that was and the left rear was not so much. I think he had one of AJ Allmendayer's crew members work. He was working the double, Doug.
Yeah.
Clearly shouldn't have. So, poor Graham Rahal. And Mark Andretti wasn't a factor. Neither of the Canadians in the field were a factor. James wasn't a factor. Young Kellett wasn't a factor. Unfortunately, Dixon got into some issues, so he got down a lap. He got his lap back.
What was that? That he ran out of gas.
He ran out of gas because there's the caution right during the fuel stops.
Yeah, he was probably about a lap or 2 from coming in.
Yeah, because there was the car spun and crashed on pit road, taking off one of its wheels. Apparently, they'll throw a caution for, Doug. But if you come in too hot into pit road and lock up those rear wheels and just do the loop-de-loop and stall it in the middle of pit road, screw you, Doug. We're keeping her green. Your crew can run down and push your ass back to your pit stall. And I thought, again, this is during green flags pit stops. What if you need to make a pit stop? But it was almost like the whole field just said, hey, there's a car on pit road. Don't pit this lap.
Yep.
So they had that happen. And then towards, in the second half of the race, one of the nicest guys and wiliest veterans in the field, Helio Castroneves, decided to start pushing it and getting there and doing things his way. He wasn't running the very bottom. He was running a lane up the whole day pretty much. And wow, what a finish. I don't know. Yeah. Is there anything cooler than watching someone pass somebody on the outside going into turn 1 of Indy?
Yeah.
Because you're like, he ain't going to make it. And they just, it's like, whoa. It's like it's a reverse slide job.
Yeah.
It's like, I need that spot. You're like, where did he come from? Mm-hmm. And so, Helio ends up winning his 4th Indy 500, tying him with
Well, the other guys were there, Foyt, and then there was the one other guy that's there.
Rick Mears.
Yeah, well, because they were all there.
And Al Unser Sr.
Yeah.
So we now have four-time winners.
Yes, because all three of those guys, they had all three of those guys on the program.
Yes.
On the cover of the program.
Yeah, they were all, and that's the nice thing too. The alumni, of winners all show up. It would have been not, like I understand, AJ Foyt may or may not have even been at the race because he's had some health issues, and we know he definitely has mobility issues.
He was there.
Okay, but whether he's there but active there, you know what I mean? Because it would have been nice if he had come up to Helio.
Him take a picture with Smoke. Was that from the weekend? I'd seen a picture.
I don't know.
Of them.
I'm just saying it would have been cool if some of the four-time winners were able to meet up then. Mario came over and congratulated Helio. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
And Marco. The best because I watched all that coverage, him climbing the fence.
That marathon that he ran on.
The best was the audio with Will Power. He's like, dude, because they've been friends for a decade or more. And he's just like, the line, and you could barely hear it, he goes, I was looking at the pylon. I was like, who's driving the 06? And Helio goes, that was me. And he's like, I know. I thought, brilliant. Just brilliant. That was great to see. It was, it had that similar vibe to when Earnhardt won the Daytona 500.
Yes. Yeah. There was a lot of people coming up to him.
Nobody had a problem with Helio winning his fourth. And you know what? Congrats to Michael Shank Racing. Or Myers Shank, I guess, because it's Michael Shank. But Myers Shank Racing, which they've been involved in racing 20 like sports cars forever and a day. I'm trying to, variety of sports cars. Right up into including prototypes. And he got into IndyCar. I even want to say he was flirting with some Xfinity cars even at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Around the same time, Buddy with the Racers Group started fielding the 71, was it, with Andy Lally and Bobby Labonte?
Yeah, I can't remember.
But around that time, the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's great to see. I tell you, Roger he's looking pretty old.
And unhappy. It was...
Well, you shouldn't have fired him. Actually, he didn't fire him. He forced him out of the IndyCar program into sports cars.
Mm-hmm.
And then that ran out, and then Helio hooked up. So the question, do you think Helio will be back to the drive for 5?
He says he is.
I like the fact they were saying, I don't know, like Paul Tracy's like, that guy could run all of next season if he wanted to.
Oh, yeah. And him calling Paul Tracy out.
Yeah.
After.
Yeah. Even when I beat you, Paul, this is 4.
Yeah.
And Paul let that go. I was surprised. Paul, because that is that kind of back and forth. And let's be honest, Paul was bitter about that for a good decade.
Mm-hmm.
Which I get, but I don't know. I don't think Paul was in the right angle. I think it was close. I remember it was close. The lights versus, the pass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't remember if it was a screwdriver or not. Now, it was that many years ago. But yeah, it was, great. A great Indy 500 race. We don't normally get to see that much of it because we're so busy at the track on Sunday. So it was really nice to sit down and watch. And so that leads us into the Coke 600.
Yes.
The big one. 400 laps, or as I call it, 4 stages or 4 qualifying races.
Yep.
You know what? And they're like, hey, teams will go between 9 to 11 pit stops tonight. I'm like, I don't think so. Everyone's dividing every stage in half, and you're pitting at the end of each stage. That's 7 pit stops.
But then when there's cautions, they come in too. So
yeah. So but that's what I found. That's what. As soon as I started noticing, because me, I hate stage racing. I hate the fact that all 4 stages are the same length. It should be 100, 100, and 200, or 125, 125, and 150, or something, break it up. But especially since a fuel run is basically 2 fuel runs make a stage. A monkey could do the fuel strategy on this race.
Well, there's there's. Do you want to try and stay out a few extra laps to catch somebody?
No,
You know,
because there's a second and a half of fall off on a tire in 25 laps. So
you never know though.
you know,
But you never know.
you know. What you also know is if you're putting a backup carburetor on the car, don't have it set full rich.
Yeah.
Right, Mike Ford? Right.
Yeah. So in the 600, and I think the first casualty was Chastain
Yes.
with the
Oil pump belt.
belt.
And then later his teammate had the same issue.
Yes.
Except his was a little more terminal.
Yes.
You didn't notice it quite as quick.
Yes.
Because the difference there was Ross, younger driver. I don't know, I lost oil pressure. They're like, bring it in. Whereas Kurt's like, all right, I have no power steering, no oil pressure. It's not running right, but I'm still competitive. And they're like, bring it in, please. You're wrecking the car. Goes, no, it's fine. It's not fine.
So the other thing with that is, those are Hendrick engines.
Yes, they are.
The only two that
But
do that.
when you get a Hendrick engine, do you get it with all the bells, buttons, pulleys, and belts? Or do you get, a core motor where you put all the accessories on?
Yeah.
That I'm not sure on. They're about as secretive about that, Doug, as they are about race purses. That's right, I said it. More on that in coming weeks. I'm doing an in-depth research on this because NASCAR hasn't published a race purse since 2016. Well, actually, no, that's not. They published the Daytona 500 in 2020 race purse. That's the only one. And there's rumors, in fact, that non-charter teams don't even get any of the race purse anymore.
I could see Rob Kaufman doing that.
Yeah. So more on that in coming weeks, but that just made me think of that. But so apparently, as has been tradition the last few years at the Coke 600, there seems to be someone that has just a little bit better setup than anybody else. And they really, some people would say, stink up the show.
I'm gonna say it right now. It sucks, except for that 1 year.
Well, then you don't get to have that opinion.
I can have that opinion.
You sound more like a homer.
I don't care.
I enjoyed the race. I didn't realize
I'm
the
gonna say
implication.
the outcome could have been worse.
Could have. The 9 could have won.
A lot worse.
Yep. So I get other than Kyle Larson trying to prove that you can lead 200 laps and win a race for once, because if Larson dominates, he doesn't win.
But it wasn't Ryan Blaney. I'll put it wasn't 394, 96, whatever that was.
Yeah. But it was quite dominant fashion overall. And all the Hendrick cars, again, were pretty good. The 48, I don't know if he led it all, but he was up there most of the day, top 10 most of the day. Roush cars, again, they're running that 8th to 12th every week until Newman, he had issues.
Yeah.
He had issues. I thought we'd see a little more out of the Penske cars, but we had Larson spank the field early in the race and put half the field down a lap by the first fuel run.
Yeah. So you started to talk about it before, and I will talk about it here now. You talked about the 66? Oh, was that even Boyer got it? Was that the 66 again? Was that the 66 again?
Well, the joke, how many 66 are in this race?
Yes. Did you know he was running the whole race? He did not have issues.
Right.
He was running the whole race. He was lapped once, or don't you say once? He was lapped on average every 13 laps.
That's not bad. That's about 2 seconds off the pace. 2.5 seconds off the pace. Yep. Still meets minimum speed. Fuck you, Jeff Gordon.
Well, so that was a big talk that I've been able to that I was hearing all like so far this week, yesterday and today, was does NASCAR need to up the minimum speed?
Nope. I don't think so. Nope. They need to up the horsepower because it's a crying shame that the Cup cars are running less horsepower than the Xfinity cars. Joke.
Yeah.
Joke of rules packages, but whatever. No. As NASCAR is still more competitive than it's ever been overall. People have very short memories. Look at the timesheets from 10 years ago. Look at 20 years ago, 30 years ago, It used to be, it would have been, let's say 20 years ago. Well, no, 20 years ago, just as many cars on the lead lap after the first fuel run. Back to the 80s, you had 6 cars on the lead lap after 50 laps.
Mm-hmm.
So what the hell? People say, oh, David Starr, he's over the hill. It's an underfunded team, blah, blah, blah. Well, how the fuck do you get funded if you don't run laps? That's the way I see it.
True.
And the guys that work on the 66 work a lot harder than they do on the top teams.
Mm-hmm.
With less. So that's on that. Kyle Larson wins the race, of course. We'll talk about it just for a minute here. It's significant because for the first time since May 29th, 1961 was when Lee Petty won at the Orange County Speedway in North Carolina, become Petty Enterprises the winningest team, which I was like, really, 61? And I thought, because like the K&K Dodges, they were very competitive. And of course the Flocks, and Bud Moore and whomever. So Petty Enterprises has held that title of winningest team or organization, I guess you should use rather than team, organization in NASCAR until Sunday night when Rick Hendrick got win number 269. You know what? If someone's going to win it for him, I'm glad it's Kyle.
Well, and you know what?
And the 5 car. I like the fact it was.
That's what I'm saying. I'm glad it was a 5 because he started with the 5, gets it with the 5.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was funny because they were mentioning how the original race shop that Harry Hyde prepared the All-Star Racing 5 was on the same campus, in this little shop. And we're like, yeah, it's next to a trailer park, cheap ass land, which was land behind car dealerships, which I'm thinking Hendrick probably owned one of those dealerships along there forever and a day.
Yeah.
And then just had a shop in behind the car dealership. Imagine that. Can't fault the guy. He was quite emotional about it, and he thanked every driver that ever won. And then he made a point of saying also we wanted to thank every driver that didn't win for him. Because that was butts and seats and fulfilling sponsorship agreements and whatever. That's business.
Yeah.
We all have our opinions on Hendrick Motorsports for whether it's legit or conspiracy theory or a bit of both, but. Fucker's got 269 wins. And, I like, because Jeff was all, I'm going down there. I'm going to be victory lane. And then Clint throws it over. I think they peaked too soon. I think they're going to do shit the rest of the year. So basically, fuck you. And Jeff, he should be knowing his role because he almost got replaced during the race. As Clint said, can we just get rid of Jeff here and have Jay Leno call the race with us?
That's because Leno made a sex joke, and that made Boyer all happy.
Well, yeah, because who was it? Race car? Yeah, driving race cars and sex to say that everyone thinks they're good at it. Yeah. Most aren't.
Yeah.
True. But you can tell, the difference of an actual comedian as opposed to comedic people, because Mike Joy did the line, well, I'm up here with a couple comedians every week, and Jay immediately with that time, you call them comedians?
Yeah. Boyer, I could see. The other guy,
that would be like, if they did a NASCAR comedy night of some kind, like Clint could do 5 minutes on the Blue Collar Comedy Tour type thing.
He just has to talk. That's all he has to do.
Yeah. Because he's got that natural personality. So what do we got here? We got some video to show off here.
Yeah, so
we're going to discuss because The Coach weekend, for those who don't know, we spend lots of time down there for many years. So we've got some video and photos to show from our time in the infield.
We'll go with the video first, and then we'll talk a bit about it after, and then so this is
outside the backstretch.
So this is actually the shadow you see on the right hand side is actually the TV screen.
Yes. So this is outside the speedway, running parallel to the backstretch.
Yeah.
And I would say you're headed down to the tunnel underneath the entrance to turn 3.
Yes, yeah, and
you can cross the track right at the TV, but you actually have to cross the track.
Yeah, so that's in behind the TV. So I'm on the back of a golf cart here.
Yes. And I tell you, it's a lot easier once they painted these lines on the road and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So off to the left, there's where all the helicopters and everything land.
Yeah.
And now
we're going underneath the track right here. This is underneath the backstretch. And there we go. Doug's in the infield.
Yeah, so this is actually from before the All-Star race.
I tried to pause it. I was going to say, that's where you usually enter whenever we come into camp. Ironically enough, was it the first year we came into camp and they let us drive over the track? I actually drove the truck. And you're like...
So this is actually a new roundabout that they've put in.
Yes.
So looking back, that's where all the expensive campers are.
Right, like Jack Roche.
No, not yet.
Oh, no. No, that would have been like over by Jimmy Johnson's.
Yeah. So this is
we got the driver's coaching. Oh, not quite yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Driver's coach is on the right.
Not yet.
Right, you're right. Garage entrance to the left.
Those other golf carts are all going to the garage area.
Yeah.
You'll see a bus coming up on the left-hand side here. That's the Roche.
Well, there goes the stage for the shitty band from Saturday night.
Yeah.
Hey, Keith.
So this bus you'll see coming right here. That's the Roche Fenway hospitality bus.
Right.
To the left is the driver coach lot.
The driver's lot.
That was actually the turn where Joey Logano almost killed us.
Yeah. So now you're going down parallel just inside the backstretch, right? Down in the Hooligan Road.
Left-hand side, you'll see the inflatable coach, and then the tiki bar will show up.
I spent some time at that tiki bar.
Right there. Yep.
I don't know how I ended up there, but I partied there for an hour or two.
Yes, like I said, this is before the All-Star race.
Which explains why you're headed down this way, because that's where the campsite is during the All-Star race, is right along the backstretch. And this is actually part of the infield Roval road course as well.
Yes.
Hey, look at that cornhole boards.
Well, there's a bunch there. There's another set.
At least we get the sounds.
He thought I was a Chase Elliott fan. The gray trailer to the right was where we're going. So that's in the front side. And then actually back to the right there was where the truck series drivers parked.
Right.
Put that there.
Right. There's a little bit of video there of infield. That's what it looks like during the day. A lot of fun. People wandering around. Yee-hoo! Canada! Who are they? Don't know. We got 4 people walking here. Awesome. So you got some photos to show us now too?
Yeah, so I grabbed a couple photos. Most will have him in it.
Well, interesting. Hey, Jeremy. What did happen to Truex?
Tire issue.
Right. I remember he had a loose wheel, but then didn't he go into the garage as well for a minute?
I just forget now.
Hey, look at Schrader's car from Talladega.
Yes, so this is actually at the Hendrick shop. Now, see if I'm going to go the right way.
The Hendrick souvenir shop, because it's a separate building. They have one building just for their museum and merch. A lot of merch.
Well, okay, so this isn't going in order. So this is actually, I forget the year of it now. Kurt Busch coming in when he did the double.
Right.
In the helicopter.
The last driver to do the double.
Back when we would sit in the stands.
Yep.
And apparently my Chromebook here is not wanting to go that quick. There's a photo of a young Kyle Larson for the Xfinity race.
Yep.
In Victory Lane.
And these are all photos that Doug has taken during his various trips.
Yep. The black on the side there. That's, you always see kind of people. That's RJ and J Paul from the what's that?
No idea.
They're the alligator hunters from Florida.
Oh,
from the History Channel.
Sure. Yeah, because History Channel sponsored the race, so there was always History Channel personalities there.
Yep. See what comes up next here. Looks like it's just going in some sort of random. So this is actually inside of the RCR shop.
The new RCR shop, yes.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
I was gonna say you can almost click next and then describe while it's waiting.
Well, I'm not sure which ones are coming up next.
Yeah, but you can talk. Oh, look at that.
There's waiting at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Ben, if you were to see a lot of our pictures, Ben does point a lot at stuff.
That is DW's 1985 Aero Coupe Monte Carlo that he would have run on the restrictor plate tracks in 1985. Apparently, I still owned a camera at the time.
Yes. And here's another when you were in your glory.
Yeah, this is at Schrader's shop. I am walking up to the driver's side of Schrader's rookie season car, the number 90 Red Baron's Pizza entry for Junie Donlevy. I'm trying to think, how did we go to the Hall of Fame? How did I have a camera if we went to the Hall of Fame? Because I was single when we went to the Hall of Fame.
I had two.
Ah, that's how.
Yes. Okay. And there, as you can see, that shirt that those guys are wearing is also being worn right now. So Michael Waltrip used to sell off all their stuff
because he's cheap.
So I believe this was like $25. So one of those shirts is what I could be wearing.
Yeah.
At the moment. Actually, no. Looking at the shoulders are different. I have the there's a yellow stripe on the back of my shoulder.
Well, and you have a different sponsor on your sleeve. You don't have the Safety Clean.
I know it's a little higher. So yeah. So it is, that could be from a year different. Well, probably is from a year different.
It is because the sleeve's different. Sure.
Yes, and mine actually also has the Martin Truex Jr. on the back.
Right.
So yeah.
I agree, Eddie. Being single is way cheaper. Hey, it's Samantha Bush.
Yes, so Kyle and Samantha from Victory Lane as well. From one of the Xfinity races.
Mm-hmm.
Need anything for this picture?
What's that?
Do you need to describe anything from this picture? I just thought I'd throw it in.
Well, we got Brian Vickers.
And his
other
wife.
Person.
Can we talk about her? No. Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
Jeffrey Epstein.
What?
So there's a story behind this picture.
Who is that man with that short hair?
We were in line to get our race scanners. Ben and I were talking. I looked away for a second, still talking with Ben, and all of a sudden he was gone.
Well, because clearly
I see him making a beeline over to Andy.
Well, because clearly Andy Petrie was happy to meet me. Just look at the smile on his face, Doug. He was ecstatic. He's like, "Oh my God, it's Ben! How you doing?" I'm like, "I'm doing all right. I was over with Doug getting race radios. Right on. Yeah. Sure. That's exactly how it went down.
Yep. And I was left talking to myself. A friend of the show. We will talk about him a little later on. And
That's
again,
Mr.
for anyone else
Marcus
watching,
himself, and I can tell you right there, that's from the last year I was down there, because look how long my damn hair is.
and you're wearing a double shirt.
I'm wearing 2 sleeveless shirts.
And for your other spiel in the other show, this is one of your other last times down here. Actually, this is your last time down here as well too. Was it not?
Yeah. And I would be roughly where the arrow is pointing to the right. I'm another about 15, 20 feet off screen. Side stage.
Yes.
Which sounded great. Wow, I didn't realize Ricky was using crank amps. Or are those diesels? Damn it. You can't zoom in. All right. I'm like, what are those amps?
Do you want me to? I can.
Oh, Wizard amp. Okay. Those are nice. Those are good amps. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Moving on.
They sounded great.
So this is actually how close I do usually get
To Victory Lane.
From 2019, this is Truex going into Victory Lane after his win at the Coke 600.
Speaking of which, was there a sale on blue paint last week, Doug? Because I think 3/4 of the field had blue cars on Sunday night.
I was not happy that Austin Dillon had the same paint scheme.
Well, and they all seem to have it was like blue cars with red numbers.
So now here's another photo of the people that we get to hang out with down there.
Now I'm trying to figure out, this would have been at the old setup, right?
Yeah, so this is the old setup.
Because everything's all crowded in. That's how I can tell.
Yeah. So the platform in the foreground, there's a gentleman in a black shirt who is Grant. I'm really hoping that we get a chance to
move your cursor over top of that. Does your cursor show up on screen? It does. Look, there you go.
Okay, right there. So this gentleman right here.
That's Grant.
Grant right there. And I'm not gonna. Oh, there I can zoom in. Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
So this here is Grant right here. A fantastic guy. He actually
one of our best friends down there.
He gave me a place to sleep the last time I was down there when I just took the plane
and
down
he
myself.
also does a lot of work for Motor Racing Outreach, which is like the on-site church down there.
Yeah. And then this other platform here, he now has a new camper. This is the new one.
Yeah, that is the new one.
Doesn't look like a new one, but this is
it was a new to him one.
Yeah.
The only one with the satellite, one of the few with a satellite dish on it.
Yes. Yeah. And
actually, can you zoom in up there? Yeah.
Yes, that is Marshall right there with the blue shirt.
Okay.
I believe.
I think that's Patrick in the black shirt.
It could be.
Off the left.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you were to go into this camper here, this gray camper, it is gutted. There's just 5 bunks.
Yeah.
In there.
It's great after chilly night.
Thankfully, I don't sleep.
You will not see me on those platforms very often.
And this was our old setup.
Hey, there it is. There's the mighty red Dodge that survived many a road trip somehow, some way, and the old Coleman camper.
Yep. So
nice.
That. And then remember, someone was talking about the Rallycross. This was the year that they had the Rallycross there. Only other good picture.
Doug, I scored us free tickets to that, and they think we overpaid.
Yes. At least we got to see someone get a little bit of air.
Yeah.
Over that little jump.
Dumb.
But yeah. Do you remember what happened with this picture, Ben?
Which car is that? Oh, that's Joe Nemechek's car, isn't it? No, that's Kimi Räikkönen, probably.
No.
There's Joe.
AMFMenergy.com, the 87 Xfinity car.
Okay. That's Joe, isn't it? Or is it from there?
Pardon?
Who is driving it?
Nemechek.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't remember the significance of it too much, other than the fact it was Joe's car.
That was right after he pulled in because he had something fall into his lap.
Oh, the dashboard fell in his lap.
The dashboard fell into his lap.
That's right. And I was listening to him on the scanner.
And there we go.
Freebird!
Yeah, just because you all want to see a close-up of that one. And here, The red hot helicopters are circling as I do this.
This is
This is
about as
inside.
close as we could get to the race shop floor at Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah, so that's the Dale Earnhardt Jr. cars at the Hendrick Motorsports shop.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think, did they not close the door just after I took that picture?
they did.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I went for a walk shortly after, and I'm
And
not
then-
allowed to talk about it.
And then
Hey, look
there's,
at those shorts. I tell you, that's me checking out Schrader's Talladega wrecked car.
Yep.
I'm not pointing at it, though.
No. Yes, that's that. So there was
Nice.
that there.
Just a few highlights. Nice. Yes, and yeah, what time it was. Hopefully, we'll get down there next year. It was weird. You know, it's always weird watching the 600.
It
home.
sucked. It's like even my wife, she was like, "You look depressed." I was like, "Kind of am."
Yeah.
Because you see stuff going on, and you're like, I know what's happening elsewhere. Like you talked about, and I know we're gonna go way over here, but for this race, I really don't care, or for this show, I don't care. You and I talked about how they talked about the tradition of the halfway moment of silence.
Yeah,
So-
which I wasn't aware of.
So yeah, so they started that in 2019, my
Right.
last time down there. And I'm gonna say, if you ever go to any other place, sporting events or whatever, where they do a moment of silence, you always get that one idiot that'll scream something out or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you that 30 seconds of silence is so freaking eerie at that track.
Yeah.
When you have the 75,000 people and all you hear is the hum of generators,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah,
happen
like
to
you don't even hear kids playing. Like you expect to hear a couple kids yelling or
you hear nothing. Like
No.
I was actually out on a walk at that time. When they did that
Hey, Tinkerbell.
with our friend TJ, Ricky, and
Tickle.
no, the other guy just from Florida.
Oh,
Oh.
Jesus.
You can see it too. But no, just with them, and they're both wounded.
Geez. Tim.
Tim,
Jeez. Sorry, Tim.
yeah, exactly. And just seeing them, and they're both bigger than me, and
Yeah.
to see just them get all welled up.
Yeah, Tim's a big guy. Tim either is really kind of jacked up or he's built like Doug. He goes back and forth.
Yeah. But
He
it's-
cycles. I don't know. Ricky's just been putting on the weight since Ricky left the military, which is
but
fine.
Whatever.
But
But just
those guys,
seeing them, like just
I got to touch on those guys too, because I remember talking to Tim our first year down there, and he had just got back, and he was going through a lot of tests at that time. And I remember him saying to me, "Do you think I'm crazy?" And it was just so out of the blue, because the conversation was nothing about that. And I'm like, "No, dude, you're fine." And he gave me a hug, over that. And I went,
that's
"Okay."
because like I talk with my wife about this. I'll go down, seeing all those guys that are come back from from just being in the war or whatever, and just what they go through. And she kind of didn't really understand it
No.
until you're there.
Yeah.
And
even then,
just because and it really hits home the Sunday morning when they start doing practice for all their ceremony stuff,
Mm-hmm.
where they'll have like the cannons going off, and
Yep.
you don't know what's happening,
Yep.
right?
And it affects everybody different, but it affects them much more.
Oh, and to hear them go off, and then because she was saying she was sitting at the table, and all of a sudden those cannons go off, and all of a sudden it becomes chaos, and those guys are diving under tables.
It's heartbreaking.
They're shaking. They're in tears. Yeah. It's just
I still get choked up every time I think about it. It's just it's disgusting, the mental health, like, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's just because the way it affects you that much, and I get it. But yeah, and I remember, like, it was one of the last year we were up in the stands. Remember, I wasn't feeling too well, so we booked her halfway through. We went down the infield, and I said, you know what? I always said I'd go hang out with TJ and the boys, over on their platform, because they were away from us at that time.
I stayed up in the stands.
Yeah, they were halfway over to the bathhouse, and so I went over there, and TJ's like, "Come on up, you can jack in with me. I got an extra headset." I'm like, "All right, cool," because I think I even returned my radio on the way back to the campsite because I was just thinking I'm going to go lay down. I really wasn't doing too well, but I started feeling a little better, and I walked over there, and I said, "TJ, I don't do heights," and that's when Tim's like, "We got you," and he carried me up to that platform.
Yeah, and so and TJ's platform is actually a platform.
Yeah,
it's just a wooden thing on top of a.
Well, he built a box on a trailer.
It's pretty rickety, and then you have bass boat seats up in each corner.
Yeah,
and
and I remember that. Yeah, like Ricky's pulling me up with one hand, Tim's basically pushing my ass up, and he's like, "You're not going to fall." And you know what? If you tell me that, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But when it's an ex-Marine that says you're not going to fall, you're not going to fall.
No.
So got up there, had some liquid courage, and
so
had
then
a great old time with them.
So not to add it on a somber note like that. Got to ask you. So far, because it's now 10 years.
Yeah.
This would have been the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Of the 10 years, your most memorable thing, non-race related.
Oh shit!
I'm gonna go even tighter.
Okay.
That's happened at the track.
But it has happened at the track?
It happened while we were there. We witnessed it.
Okay.
That's happened at the track in the last 10 years.
What's the
my thing has not been topped.
Oh.
And I even tried. There was a video on YouTube. I tried to look for it, and I could not find it.
I don't know. You know what? That night where we spent an hour watching the Keystone Cops chase that golf cart was pretty fucking hilarious.
Close. So yeah. So what Ben's talking about is we hear some hollering one night, and here is an 8-person golf cart with 11 people in it and on it, actually on the track.
Running about halfway up the track in the second groove, going through turns 1 and 2. Backwards. So from turns 2 into 1. Yeah.
So
and then they went ripping by our campsite. And we're like, all right, give her.
And you've seen, in that pictures I showed how close those campsites are. That camp road ain't big. So my one, because that was like year 2. I want to say that was year 2.
Yeah, I think it was year 2.
Mine is year 1.
Okay.
The cooler slide.
The cooler slides.
The cooler slide year 1. Because almost same thing. Guy slides down turn 1 on a cooler. While he scales turn 1, and you hear first we heard everyone hollering, and you're like, "What's going on there?" And I heard
traditionally the cooler slides were done in turn 3. Traditionally.
Yes.
And then they moved to turn 1 because turn 3 got all fancy RVs.
Yeah. So what happened was a guy scaled up turn 1 with his cooler slide,
which is 27 degrees banking.
Yeah. It's just the top of a cooler, the lid of a cooler. He's got on a white full face helmet.
Yep.
With a tinted visor.
Of course.
And a pair of tidy whities.
Yeah.
That's it. He slides down the embankment. Somebody is there holding the fence up. He tucks under the fence, and just when all that starts to happen, that's when the Keystone Cops, I think they flew down our road as well, too. But we could see him running.
Well, because the access to the track's at the end of our road.
Yes. So we could see 2 rows over him run the opposite direction of the cops or the security, the Speedway security. we see him do a couple laps, and all of a sudden, he ducked into a trailer, someone's camper,
Mm-hmm.
and these cops are still like, "Where'd he go?" And people are giving them the wrong directions, and it's just.
We always gave the security guys the wrong directions.
Well, I don't think it was really us, but it was just there was a lot of people giving directions.
Yeah, there's a
few
few interesting moments. Like the first 3 years, I saw Elvis every year, and nobody else on our crew saw him until you saw him the next year, and you're like, "Hey, I saw Elvis." I'm like, "He does exist," because it would always be I'd be pissed drunk, walk out of the washroom at midnight, and there's Elvis just standing there.
I still have the first year I was down. You weren't there with me. 2008, my first year there. I seen her senior. I don't care who. You don't believe me? Whatever. Good wrench hat, shirt, jeans, big belt buckle, and it's like I'm like I look, I see him. I turn to talk to my other buddy that was with me, and when I turn back around, he's gone.
How about
He was over in the Gypsies.
Here's a funny one to end on. Year one.
Yep.
We're sitting around the campsite. I think it was on the Saturday night, maybe the Friday night. Yeah, it was a dark night. No, it would have been Saturday night probably. Nope, earlier. But it was one night we're sitting there, and the South Carolina crew that was next to us, South Carolina Dave had all those weirdos that first year.
They were a lot more than weirdos.
But the young kid, full of attitude, and he came over. Y'all want to smoke a joint? And I should say, very tough drug laws in North Carolina. Like, we're talking 6 months prison sentence for carrying a roach. And he goes, "Hey, y'all want to smoke a joint?" And I went, "I do, of course." And Al's with us, and Al goes, "Well, I'm a narc." And the look on that kid's face,
yeah,
he didn't know where. He looked very confused, but then I said, "Yeah, I'll still come." And that confused him even more, because he's like, and we're walking 20 feet to his campsite. And he's like, "You're not a cop, are you?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm from Canada." Really? Because I had to show them my Canadian passport, because they'd never seen, not only have they never seen a Canadian passport before, these folks had never seen a passport before.
Well, and wasn't one like supposed to be like some sort of going for a judge? He was like a postal
employee. She was a judge. She was the judge for a county in South Carolina. Yeah, and she was the one with the tramp stamp, and she was like 60 years old, 100 pounds, wearing a bikini. Shouldn't have.
Really? Did you have to?
I did. But got to meet South Carolina Dave out of that deal.
Yeah.
Man, he was the only one that returned the next year.
Well, they left the one guy there. They just took off and left him there. And then he came to us for directions how to get to the track from South Carolina.
No, he wanted to borrow our phone to call his girlfriend to pick him up. And we're like, "Sorry, dude, I don't have any time on my phone."
No.
Nope. He's like, "Oh, come on." We're like, "We don't know you." Go away. Yeah.
Yes.
That was fun. But yeah, there's always good time. Or actually, here. Grant.
That's
Grant.
That's another story.
So on that note, yes, great weekend. Where are we racing this coming weekend, Doug?
Sonoma.
That's right. Speaking of which, one of the rookies is running in the ARCA West race. I think it's Chase Briscoe is running the ARCA West race to get some track time.
Mm-hmm.
Just read that. Oh, it got thrown out there. Last Saturday night, World of Outlaws ran at Sharon Speedway, Doug. And the Buckeye Bullet won the feature. That's right. Dave Blaney in Victory Lane with his lovely wife. Man, she is aging well. I shouldn't have said sexist, but still, she's aging well. I was like, "Hey, Ryan, your mom's hot." Just saying. So, and partially sponsored by Ryan Blaney as well, I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
What are we adding to the stream here?
Well, no, don't yet.
Don't yet? Oh.
We'll end on this. We'll end on that when you put it back up.
Okay, and so last Saturday at Sharon Speedway, World of Outlaws win by Dave Blaney. As he says, Dad still likes to run once in a while, which is when they come through town because he's busy running the track. And then I believe one night after winning the 600, Kyle Larson won the World of Outlaw main.
Yes, he did.
On Monday night.
Yes, last night.
So awesome. Gee, Rick, maybe let your drivers run as many races as they fucking want to. Just saying. Just saying. Can't all be Jimmy Johnsons. Yep.
So yeah. So next week will be Sonoma.
Who's your win? Who's your pick? Kurt Busch?
We'll go Kyle.
Okay, I'll go Kurt.
Because you won't let me take my pick.
Well, you can take Martin for the 7th week in a row. Doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
Boy.
I think Kyle.
There we go. All right. And and Kurt always runs well out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd take Clint Boyer if he still ran, because for some reason Clint always runs well there.
Well, Martin's got 2 wins there.
Yeah. It's weird. That what used to be the most technical track on the circuit. And it was always the most inept driver that would win it the last decade, or most inept by least likely to win. Like all of a sudden, Kurt Busch is a road course ace at Sonoma. Martin Truex, Clint Boyer, Jamie McMurray was for years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. So, there we go. But neither of us think Chase Elliott's going to win, which is fine. That's good. All right, so let's bring this up to wrap it up. There's our good friend Marcus. He's a bit of a Dale Jr. fan, and Dale Jr. remembers him too. And he goes, I don't know why Dale always remembers me.
Because you're a fan. But we always say, see you, Marcus, but this time it's just, happy birthday, Marcus.
Happy birthday, Marcus.